just wanted to show you guys, this is the chaos of my life during prep. Pretty typical that everything is very, very chaotic. Full dishes. And yeah, just trying to keep it together, trying to get everything done throughout the day, and sometimes we get behind on things. We'll get around to them eventually, but anywho, real life. Hey guys, welcome to the vlog. We are currently 5.5 weeks out from the show. So that's been my morning so far. You guys got to see all the different liquids that I put into my body. I crashed 40 minutes of cardio, and I want to talk to you guys all about a couple of the new things that I've been really focusing on recently. So the two things are the introduction of greens powder on a consistent basis and the introduction of apple cider vinegar on a consistent basis. So in the past, I've used both of these as tools sporadically. So up until this point, it's been like, if I remember, then I'll do it. But what I've been focusing on this week is really making sure that it's a priority and introducing it into my daily schedule. So both the greens and the apple cider vinegar are tools to help with digestion. Also tools to ensure that you're getting the vitamins and minerals that are going to make your body feel really great, energy-wise, recovery-wise, and when you're eating less food, what ends up happening is we become a little bit more limited on the vitamins and minerals that we're getting into our body, right? So what ends up happening is at this stage of the game, I'm eating the same shit pretty much every day, right? And those foods are only gonna have a limited quantity of the vitamins and minerals that your body would need to function optimally. Also, as you eat less food, your digestion slows down. So it's pretty common at this stage of the game that you're not having bowel movements every day. Like for me, sometimes it's like every second day, and then maybe I'll have one day where I have a couple in one day, but it's not necessarily as consistent. And that's your body being more efficient at breaking down the food. So as long as you're not constipated and feeling uncomfortable, it's okay that you're not having those movements every day. But the introduction of the greens and the apple cider vinegar are just going to make sure that we got some good bacteria in the stomach, that our body is getting everything that it needs, even if we aren't able to get that directly from a food source. Okay? So those are the two new things that I wanted to share with you guys. I also wanted to talk about one other thing. So I've had tons of questions from you guys about intermittent fasting, because it's something that I do. I get up at like between 3 and 4. I do my cardio, and that entire time I'm just drinking BCAAs, liquids, having my coffee, and I don't eat my first meal until about 4 to 5 hours into the day, okay? And then I don't lift until later. So generally my lift starts anywhere between 1 and 4 p.m. It just depends on the day. But my last meal of the day is generally after that workout. So what ends up happening on the days when I have to go to the gym at 4, I'm having that meal a tiny bit later, so it can be like after the gym, maybe like closer to 6:30, but I'm still fasting from like anywhere from 5 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. all the way until 8 the next morning, okay? Now, you guys might train on a different schedule. So some of you guys are asking me questions like, can I give intermittent fasting a try? What would you suggest in terms of an eating window? So the things that I think matter most with intermittent fasting is I think you need to select a time that works around your training. So for most people, you're probably not splitting up the cardio and your lifting for the day. But we do want to look at, okay, are you training in the morning, or are you training in the afternoon, or are you training in the evening? And that would be where we want to make sure your eating window is working around. We want to make sure we're having food before we train. We want to make sure we're having food to recover afterwards. So that's where you're going to determine your eating window. You're not going to necessarily determine your eating window based on what it is that I'm doing, because you might be training at a totally different time of day. So let's say you train first thing in the morning. How would you structure it? Okay, so what you would probably end up doing is fasting from the afternoon all the way into the morning, still eating something before you train, doing your workout, having your post-workout meal, and still allowing it to be anywhere from I say 5 to 8 hours of eating, and then the rest would be fasting depending on your day. So then you would have your pre-workout, you would have your post-workout, and it would depend on what time you finished your training, but it may be a possibility that your last meal of the day is lunch, or you might do lunch and then an early afternoon snack, and then you might skip dinner and fast all the way until the next day. Okay? The other option would be if you train in the evening, okay? So let's say you generally train, let's say supper time, so 5, 6, 7 p.m. You could do something similar to what I do, but you could fast for longer in the morning. So what you would end up doing is you would still have all your food around your training, but when you wake up in the morning, instead of eating at 8 like what I do, you may choose to skip breakfast and then have your first meal at noon. Okay, so that's how you could essentially give it a try and see how that feels for you. But I do want to let you know, guys, is intermittent fasting isn't going to be the tool that makes or breaks your results, okay? Intermittent fasting works for me based on my schedule and based on the fact that I'm not eating a whack ton of food right now. I'm eating enough food on my high carb days, but on my lower carb days, I really find that if I can just fast for a little bit in the morning, I can have bigger meals when I end up eating, and it just feels good working with my hunger throughout the day. I'm hungry as fuck in the middle of the day, and I'm not that hungry in the evening, so it works really, really well for me. But it might be totally different for you, and you may find that if you fast, you end up binging later. And if that's kind of the behavior that you're starting to recognize, intermittent fasting might not be a good fit for you. So I often say that if you're somebody who, when you feel deprived or feel limited, you find after a couple of days you're very resistant, like you just want to rebel, you just want to have unhealthy foods, you just feel as though you've been so tight knit all week that you just feel this urge to rebel. Okay, and if that is you, then this is not something that you want to try. If you know yourself and you have that self-awareness, you'll say, you know what, this is not a good fit because I know down the line it's going to cause binging. That those hours of fasting is going to cause a binge, or it's causing me to eat more food in general. Okay, so you need to listen to your own hunger. You need to listen to your own cravings that are coming on. You need to analyze how your energy is. And that's essentially the process of getting to know what works best for you, and it takes some experimenting. So what works really well for me, or what works really well for your friend or this person that you follow on Instagram, may be a terrible fit for you. And that's where you need to stop and be like, you know what? This does not seem like a strategy I could stick with. This does not seem like a strategy that is sustainable, and I'm not going to continue to do it because what it's doing is it's just triggering me. So yeah, that's what I do. Those are some ideas on how you can build on it and give it a try. And Theo is gonna have to go to daycare momentarily here. We got about 20 more minutes before he's gonna get up, and then I gotta get his booty going to daycare, and then it is client calls all day. Today I'm taking you guys through my full day of eating, showing you everything that I'm doing, and I'm also gonna show you my tips for building really good shoulders and seeing like the separation between your bicep and your shoulder cap. I'm giving you those tips in today's video. So here we go. Good morning, Theodore. Good morning. Hello. All right, guys, so I'm gonna make my first meal of the day. It's about 8 in the morning and pretty much have the same thing every day. And today's a low carb day, so we are going to be making sure we get tons of vegetables so I get tons of volume with my food. I also have a weird thing about this meal that I make, but I have to eat it in like the biggest bowl possible versus a small bowl. I don't know why, it just makes me feel like I'm having a massive amount of food and just makes my tummy happy. So I'll start with a big bowl, and then I add cauliflower rice. So cauliflower rice is a really good low carb option. It's been like a staple in my prep this time around because I've been able to eat like a whole whack ton, and it's only a couple grams of carbs, which is perfect. So we're gonna do about 225 grams of it in the bowl first. And I only got a little bit left that's prepped here, so I'm just gonna finish it off. So total of it is 326, which is more than what I was planning for, but like I said, it's really low in calories and carbs, so it's no big deal. So then I'll go into my MyFitnessPal and change the number. So change it to 326. Okay, and then next I'm gonna do some zucchini. So I like to mix up the different vegetable that I add with the cauliflower rice, and zucchini is also a really good one that's super low in calories. So set the scale back to 0, and we're gonna do about 100 grams or so of zucchini. Okay, 102. So just change that. For protein, some salmon. Now I always mix it up with the protein. Sometimes it's chicken, sometimes it's tilapia, sometimes it's tuna, sometimes it's salmon, sometimes it's ground chicken, ground turkey, but the foundation of the meal is pretty much the same. Okay. Grab one of the fillets that I prepped on Sunday and chop it up into some smaller pieces, and we can add it into the bowl. Okay, 83 grams. And as I add each item, I'm zeroing out the scale so that I don't have to try to figure out any math. I'm just able to zero it out, add the next item, and then be good to go. Then I'm going to add some oil and some dairy-free Caesar dressing. So just grab that from over here. So 10 milliliters of oil. Oh, 11, so pretty close. Perfect. And the last most delicious step is this guy. I'm so obsessed. So I went dairy-free for a few months now. I think since like maybe November or so of last year, and I just feel so much better in terms of digestion and energy and just feeling as though things are moving well in my digestive system. So I'm gonna do around 20 milliliters. Oh, 20 milliliters. Okay. And that is 18. Perfect. Okay. That looks like that. And we just mixer. Get all those yummy flavors put together. And then the last step is my coach wants my sodium levels on the higher side of things. So I have been adding more seasoning than normal, and I'm actually not tracking it. There is going to be a couple calories here, a couple of calories there, but my body's still responding, so I'm not going to get too particular with it. Again, obsessed, Tex-Mex, been using it so much throughout my prep. And I just like for my food to have like tons and tons of flavor so that it's really satisfying for me from the meal versus having boring, dry, like flavorless foods, which is what I've done in preps before. And honestly, like, I'm just really happy that I've kept all these foods in, that I've been really focusing on flavor and getting still really healthy meals, but not being afraid to use sauces and not being afraid to use seasonings to really give it some satisfaction or like, you know, increase the satisfaction of the meal. So stir, and boom. When I look at it, it doesn't even really look like it's probably that appetizing for you guys. I am not a chef by any means, but don't knock it before you try it. It's actually really yummy. And on these low carb days, I really just need to find a way that I can eat a ton of food versus something that's going to be a small amount of food and then be super hungry right afterwards. So volume eating, lots of vegetables if you're doing low carb, and I'm going to show you guys the rest of my meals for the entire day. Unfortunately, it is a leg day and it's also a low carb day, so I'm hoping that I have the mental willpower to persevere, because these leg days in my new training block are like completely fucking me. But yeah, that's it, guys. All right, so for my morning snack, I'm doing a scoop of protein powder, and I'm gonna make it into kind of like a pudding just by adding some hot water from my Keurig. So I just take this bad boy here, get a scoop of protein, and I use this one here, the Vegas Sport dairy-free. I'm gonna do about 53 grams, which is about a scoop and a half. So I go like that. And then I'm just gonna add some hot water to the bowl. Okay. Just do it on the small setting, and kind of looks like that. And then I'll stir it and make it into a pudding, just like this. And you'll totally know if you need to add more water based on the consistency. So you can see there, it's still pretty chunky, so I'm gonna add some more water. You want it to be like a pudding. Well, that's the way that I like mine anyways, is like a pudding. And I love chocolate, so I get chocolate protein powder, and then it nixes my craving for something sweet. Then I put it in the microwave for a couple of minutes, and it comes out looking like that. But look what happens when I stir it. And it tastes absolutely delicious. It's about middle of the day, and I do have a couple more clients that I have to talk to, so I don't have time to put together my meal yet, but I'm gonna put these zucchini in a bowl. 500 grams, still pretty low in carbs though, so gonna snack on these while I wrap up the last of my calls. And for my pre-workout meal, I'm having these protein pancakes, so banana hazelnut, so good. And the macros are also really good, so you can see there, 23 carbs, 5 fiber, 20 protein, 3.5 fat, and I'm excited. So guys, that is my pre-workout meal. I'm gonna crush these pancakes and then I'm gonna go crush these legs. Today is a really intense workout, so I saved most of my carbs for pre-workout and then a little bit of carbs for my post-workout, and yeah, gotta get this in my belly and then we got work to do. Let's do it. Okay, so survived the workout. We are back home. I'm about to have my last food of the day. It's about 5 or so, and once I have my last meal, I'm going to be fasting all the way until tomorrow morning. So super simple, just doing a scoop of dairy-free vegan protein powder, adding some water to it, good to go. That's it for tonight, and then I'll do lots of liquids. I do have some more client calls, and then I have a big announcement. Stay tuned. So, time for the announcement that you guys have been waiting for. So, as of today, which is April 1st, I am an ambassador for Core Nutritionals. So I'm super excited because this is the supplement line that I've been using since I started working with my coach, and have seen like massive changes in my body since using them. So I'm super excited because I get to represent a supplement line that I really believe in, and I know it is backed by some incredible research, so I'm excited about that. Also excited because you guys get to save money when you try the products, and I know that they're going to help change your body too, and I do have a bunch of my clients that are already using it, and it's sweet because now you guys get to save money when you use the product. So I'm going to put the discount code to go check that out here. I will put the link in the show notes so you guys can go check it out as well. But you can foresee that in upcoming episodes, I'm going to show you all of my favorite products, but I'm just gonna give you my top 2 like right now that I'm using for this prep that are making like a mega difference. So, number 1, Core ABCs, which is the BCAA product that you see me drinking when I do my cardio. I also drink it in between my meals so that I can ensure that I stay full, and then also helps me get more water down because they just taste delicious. And then just helps with protein synthesis. So I've been drinking that all throughout my build, all throughout my prep, and I do anywhere from 25 to 30 grams total of branched chain amino acids for the entire day. My recovery is amazing. The gains I've seen in my muscles have been amazing, and yeah, just overall, it's a top-notch product. Number 2, this one is for all you ladies out there that have stubborn lower body fat. I use Core Hard, and I literally, in all of my past preps, have never been able to get my legs to look the way that they look right now. You guys are also going to see my physique update in this clip very shortly, but I've never been able to get that like super separated quad or that super separated hamstring glute situation going on, and Core Hard has been a game changer. So what it is it helps balance the hormones within the body, and for women that's often being really estrogen dominant. So what ends up happening is that you hold all of this body fat in your hips and in your thighs, and ever since using Core Hard, it's really made a mega difference. So those are my top 2 products. I'm gonna put the link for those again in the show notes so you guys can go give them a try. And in terms of my favorite flavors for the BCAAs, I forgot to tell you guys, I love Crystal Star Candy, I love the lemonade, I love the Cosmo Blue Raspberry. Like, I don't think I've tried a kind that I haven't loved. So anywho, that's my one big announcement. That's the April 1st one that I was talking about in my last video. And you'll be sure to hear more about it in upcoming episodes, but that's number 1. And then the next thing you're going to see is I'm gonna go to sleep, boop. And when I wake up, it's check-in day. So you guys are gonna see that in the very next clip. You're gonna see what my weight is, what my measurements are, what the physique is looking like. And 5.5 weeks out, guys, we are doing it. We're getting close. I'm feeling lean, definitely feeling tighter. And if anybody's been checking out my Instagram, you know these arms are looking fucking crazy. I didn't know I could look so damn vascular. So thanks, Paul. You have completely transformed my body. I can't freaking believe what I look like. And I'm just excited because it's almost showtime. You guys are coming along with me, and we are gonna really finish this journey strong. So that's it. Have a good night. Happy Tuesday. Good morning, guys. It is Wednesday, 4 a.m. Time to check in. New low, 118.9 this morning. That's the lowest I've been of prep so far. Haven't seen anything in the 118s until today. But man, oh man, I look pretty sleepy. But my measurements are down, so my waist is down 1 inch. My quads are down 1/2 inch per side. So let's show you guys what my bod is looking like. All right, guys, so I just checked in with my coach, let him know that I definitely noticed new levels of vascularity, also let him know that I felt like my waist was getting tighter, and it actually came down 1 full inch this week, so I could feel it, but then also saw it when I did my measurements this morning. My quads also came down 1 full inch. No, that's a lie. My quads came down 1/2 inch on each side, so a total of 1 inch for that. But yeah, just let him know that I had an extra training this week to plan for the upcoming rest days that I'm taking with Easter. And then I sent him all of my pictures on how things were looking. And this is what Coach said. This week, I want to increase the cardio to 45 minutes per session, so that'll now be 5 times 45. And then keep the diet the same, and with the refeeds coming, I am curious to see if we can drop during this period. Overall, you are in an amazing place, so I just want to continue that trend, have you ready early so we can reverse into the show and really look and feel amazing on show day. We are on track for sure. Go ahead and update me again after the refeeds. Just give me weights and let's see how things are going. So that means 3 high carb days starting tomorrow, same as last week, and then I'll let him know how things are looking after those 3 days. So current macros are, low carb days are 4 days a week, and that's 4 consecutive days. So that's 90 grams of carbs, 45 grams of fat, and 145 grams of protein. And then I do 3 consecutive high carb days, which will start tomorrow for me, but it's 200 grams of carbs, 40 grams of fat, and 125 protein. So those are the current numbers. My weight still is trending downwards, which is fantastic. Calories are pretty high for my body weight. 118.9 isn't very high. So the fact that I'm losing weight on this amount of calories is good. So we'll see what happens with those extra carbs, see what happens with the extra cardio. But I got a little surprise for you guys. Check it out. These are my top 3 tips for training your shoulders. Let's do it. All right, so tip number 1 is lateral raises are key to create that separation between your shoulders and your biceps. But the way that you perform a lateral raise is going to impact if you actually get to that capping happening or if you don't, because we need the correct muscle to be doing the work, right guys? So I'm going to just show you when you do a lateral raise how you can make sure that it is just your side delt that's doing the work and not other muscle groups. So when you're going to set up for it, guys, you want to make sure that you have a bend in your elbow like this. And I'm going to do this completely without weights because I actually recommend that you practice without any weights to make sure that you're getting the right muscle to do the job. Okay, so you're going to start with your arm slightly away from your body like this, and your arm is going to be bent. Now from this position here, I want you guys to practice just by reaching over with the other arm so that you can feel the muscle that's supposed to be working. So you want to feel the side of your arm doing the work. So from this position here, when you go to lift up, you're going to lift up, but I want you to mentally think about the elbow. Okay, don't think about anything other than the elbow doing the job. And what that's going to do is it's going to fire up the side of your shoulder. So you're going to think about, okay, I need to think about my elbow lifting the weight. So you're going to go lift, thinking about the elbows doing the job, which is going to make it lead over top of your hand. And you almost want to angle it so that your hand is down lower than where your elbow is. When you get it up to about here, you're going to envision pouring a big pitcher of water over. So you want to imagine like the shoulder pouring downwards, okay? So your pinky should be up a little bit higher than your thumb. See, it's kind of on an angle there. Your hand needs to be down a little bit lower than your elbow. And what that's going to do is it's going to make sure that this part of the muscle that you want to see cap, is the muscle that's doing the job, okay? Hold it here for a second, and then as you go to bring it down to the starting position, instead of bringing it all the way down to here, the muscle is going to do the most work if we stop right here. So that's where I want you guys to stop. Okay, so from this position here, you have your elbow bent. When you go to lift up, you're thinking about the elbow lifting, you're angling your hand down. When you get it to the top, you're putting the pinky up a little bit. Okay, so you're doing a little bit of a rotation, and you should feel right here that the side delt is the muscle that's doing the work here, right? You're not feeling it anywhere else. That's where you need to feel the burn. And then when you go to bring it back down, you're going to bring it down, and I want you to stop it right there. Okay? So I want you guys to practice this week without any weight so that you're controlling the muscle, having the muscle do the work the entire time, and that is how we can really get the side of our delt doing all the work. Now, this works with dumbbells. This works when you're in a lateral raise machine. This works when you're using bands. This works when you're using cables. But what I see people doing is I see them either like extending their arms so their elbow is totally locked out, and then what ends up happening there is your side delt's not doing any work. So they'll go to lift with like a cable, and what's happening is your arm or your delt isn't doing the work. So I want you guys to think about maintaining that position, think about the elbow, and think about that range of motion in the various pieces of equipment that you may use when doing your lateral raises. So train them a couple times a week, perform lateral raises correctly, and make sure that it's the muscle that you want to be working that's doing the job, not a different muscle, okay? Second tip when it comes to training shoulders is when you are doing your shoulder presses, guys. So this is when you are in a machine doing a shoulder press, when you're using a barbell, when you're using dumbbells. We want to make sure that it is not our neck and our traps that are doing the job, okay? We also want to make sure that it is the front of our shoulder that is getting a ton of work throughout it. So when you think about, okay, where do I need to feel that burn? If you finish the movement and all you feel is this tension in your neck or in your upper back, you're not doing them properly because the wrong muscles are firing. So again, we're going to practice this week with no weight, just really working on mastering that movement. Okay, so when you go to set up for your shoulder press, what I want you guys to think about, no matter what piece of equipment that you're using for it, instead of thinking about your elbow being like locked back here and in a 90-degree, which is sometimes what we see online or sometimes what we're taught, what can end up happening here is that your rotator cuff can kind of take over and you can end up with injury. So what I end up liking to do, guys, is I want you to think about your elbow coming slightly ahead of the body. So not all the way back here and stretching. I want you to think about it coming slightly ahead of where your where the front of your shoulder starts, okay? So that's the first part. The second part with it is what ends up happening if we're trying to isolate the muscle is if we completely extend and lock out at the top, we aren't having the muscle work the entire time. So similar to the lateral raise, my tip for creating growth in your shoulders is to stay within a shorter range of motion and really have it just be the shoulders that are doing the work. Because what ends up happening is if we completely lock out here, what ends up happening is sometimes the traps take over, sometimes the neck take over, but if we just stop with a soft bend in the elbow when we go to do that extension, the shoulders are going to be working the entire time. Also, when you go to pull it down, I'll see people come all the way down to here, in which case you'll feel your lat or your back doing the work, and we don't want that. We just want our shoulder. So what I'll suggest to my clients, and the way that I do it, is that I'll stop before that and I'll do that shortened range of motion, so it is just my delts that are doing the work. So when I'm going to do the motion, I'm taking that elbow, putting it slightly ahead of the body. When I go to extend, I'm stopping before it's completely locked out, okay? And then when I go to lower it down, instead of thinking about bringing it all the way down, I want you guys to stop right here, okay? So you're extend it up, still keep that soft bend in your elbow, and then bring it back just to here, okay? Again, I like to reach across the body and feel where is it burning. Right now it's all front delt, and that's exactly what I want. So if you are feeling this somewhere else, remember that you may have to tweak your form or do slightly different alignment, but that will ensure that we just have that shoulder on fire, and that is all that is doing the work the entire time, okay? Tip number 3. So we talked about the front delt, we talked about the side delt, now let's talk about that back delt. So this is the toughest one for people to get. So the back of your delt is this bad boy, right? So having a nice rounded cap shoulder, you have to hit all 3 angles. So when we're doing our rear delt raises or trying to target the back of the shoulder, we want to make sure that it is only the rear delt that's doing the work. And this is the one where I always see people, they're using those upper back muscles, they're using their neck, and then they're really, really sore. So I want to give you guys a tip on how you can make sure that your rear delt is the only muscle that's doing the work. Okay, so from here, again, we're going to reach across so that we can feel what it is that's supposed to be working. So you need to feel that burn on the back of your shoulder. If you're not feeling that burn and not able to feel that muscle working underneath, you have a different muscle firing. Okay, so from this position here, when you go to bend over, guys, you want to make sure that the rotation of the shoulder is actually that we're a little bit hunched over. Because what ends up happening is if we start here, if we start here and we try to go squeeze, we're going to get that your lats fire, we're going to get that like all those upper back muscles fire. So we almost want to be hunched over a little bit. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow us the ability to isolate that rear delt. So your arms over here, you're hunched over just a little bit, but still keeping your tummy in tight. And then when you go to lift your arm, you want to imagine pouring your shoulder forward. So from this position here, you'll see my hands straight down, okay? So from here, when I go to lift up, I'm thinking about pulling back, but I'm also allowing the arm to angle this way. So this is the muscle that I need to lift up. So it's gonna go like that, guys. And you only want that, you only want the back of your shoulder to rotate, right? So you wanna make sure that you're not pulling so far that it's all those upper back muscles. You only want it to be a small movement, and I want you to take your hand and turn it downward. So you imagine that you're actually like rotating forward like that. So it's only this part of your muscle that's working. So from this position here, guys, you lift up and you want to imagine it's coming downwards, okay? Now, generally when I do this, I would be looking down and keeping my chin tucked, but because I'm talking to you guys, I'm showing you from here. So guys, those are my tips. I hope you give them a go this week. Also, let me know how you make out. You know that I love receiving your messages. I love receiving your comments. I appreciate all of your love. Let me know how you're doing. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.